Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordyn and welcome to my Boookathon reading vlog. Boookathon is a super cute, spooky middle grade readathon created by my friend Keisha over at the channel A Book Like You. It sounds like this is the second round that she's done this readathon. This round is being also co-hosted by Gwen from Gwendolyn Kensinger and Gabby from Gabbing About Books. This is a little bit of an impromptu reading vlog. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to participate in this readathon, but then I figured if I can't fit in 3 quick middle grade spooky books for this readathon for my friends, then what am I doing here? So I decided to join in on the fun and dip my toes into the spooky middle grade world. So this readathon has 3 reading prompts. There is a buddy read, but I wasn't able to get that book through any of my libraries or library services or audiobook services or anywhere other than just purchasing the book. So instead I looked at each of the hosts' TBRs and what they're reading for each prompt, and I looked at what was available at my local library. I just got back, and let's talk about what I will be reading for this week. The first reading prompt is to read a book with a spooky building on the cover, and for that I will be reading The Halloween Moon by Joseph Fink. Not sure what that building is, but it's definitely spooky. And this is about a middle grade girl, main character, who wants to go trick-or-treating, but her parents are telling her that she's too old, but she's determined to still do it. And then when the night rolls around, things feel weird. No one is answering their doors. The moon is a weird color. Weird things are happening. So I guess it's just gonna be a weird, spooky Halloween night little adventure. The next reading prompt is to read a book set during or around Halloween, so of course that one could double up for that prompt, but I also saw that Gwen and I think some other people are planning on reading Small Spaces by Catherine Arden for this prompt. This one sounds like it is about a class field trip that happens around Halloween. They're going to a local farm with a haunting history, and weird things happen to our main character while she's there. And the last reading prompt is to read a book with ghost or ghoul in the title, and I saw lots of people planning to pick this one up. It is Ghost Squad by Clarabelle A. Ortega. It looks like this one is also set shortly before Halloween, so all of these could definitely work for that prompt. And it's about 2 best friends who cast a spell that accidentally awakens malicious spirits wreaking havoc throughout their hometown. So they have to join forces with one of their witch grandmothers to reverse the curse, save the town. Sounds cute. So I'm hoping that it takes me no time at all to fly through these 3 books and see if middle grade is an age range I should be picking up more of, especially spooky ones. I also figured this week would be a good week to vlog because I am planning on making my children's Halloween costumes this week. I just got a package delivered with all of the things that I need for the costumes. They are going to be a chick, hence all the feathers, and a lamb, hence all the cotton balls. I'm definitely not a professional seamstress or costume designer. I am very low budget, low skill DIY, but I love making costumes for my family. So that will be a fun thing I'm doing this week. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what I'll be up to. I'll bring you along if it's anything exciting. But first and foremost, I will be trying those middle grade books and seeing what I think, and I'll let you know my thoughts. I'm not sure which one I will be picking up first. I know there are reading sprints happening tonight with all of the hosts of the readathon, so maybe I will save these 3 books for then, have them vote or tell me which one to start with, and I will start my first book tonight. Okay, hello my friends. It is Wednesday today, so it's been 2 days since I last talked to you. It is day 3 of the readathon. I've got an update. I finished my first book, and I had a really fun time reading this. When I started this vlog, I figured there probably would be no point for like midway updates in these books because they're so short, they're middle grade. There's maybe not that much that can change throughout the reading of a book. But this actually showed me differently because my feelings about it did change as I read the whole book. But okay, first things first, what this book is about is our main character named Ollie. She is in 6th grade and she has lost her mother, so it's just her and her dad. She is definitely struggling with that. We get a lot of nods to like a year ago when it happened and kind of the spiral she went in at that point. So she doesn't have a lot of friends at school. She's not really doing like her hobbies and things that she was into before her mom passed. So she's in kind of a rough place. And one day she is walking home from school, I think, and she kind of wanders into the woods or whatever. She's not really in a great mood, blowing off some steam from what happened at school that day, and she happens upon this woman standing at the edge of a river, and she's about to throw this book into the river, and Ollie for some reason decides she's gonna save the book and run away from the woman, and so she does that. When she gets home, she starts reading the book. It's this really creepy story about this family who had two brothers. They live on a farm. They like disappeared and then came back, and it's this weird story about what's happening on this creepy farm. And then the very next day, Ollie's class goes on a field trip to a farm that seems to be the exact same farm with the same history that she's reading about in this book. So the entire book is basically Ollie finding out what happened to this family, what secrets there are, and ultimately having to escape from this really sinister situation happening at this farm. And the first half of this book I read during reading sprints on Monday night. I was watching back that footage and I kept looking up at my TV, and that's because I was trying to read while they were still talking on the sprints and getting distracted. So I wasn't the most efficient reader of this book. I definitely could have read it a lot faster if I was just focusing on it. But I got through the first 100 pages in those sprints, and I was loving it at that point. I loved the creepy story that Ollie was reading. I really liked reading about Ollie's experience and what she was going through. I really liked that whole first half. Then the second half, I will say, got a little bit more fantastical and unrealistic, and it's a middle grade novel, so I understand that there's going to be a little bit of that like whimsy in there, so I get it. It just kind of lost me at the end when it went in that direction, whereas I liked the real world stuff a little bit more. But all in all, it was a really fun time. I think I gave this 3 stars on Goodreads, but honestly, the more I think about it, I think it's more of a 4-star. I can come around on understanding that this is a middle grade novel. Like, it doesn't have to be that deep. The fun of it is the fun. And I did think it was pretty thrilling and scary for a middle grade book, and also just for any story. Like, it was a really compelling story at the root of it. So I am going to land on 4 stars for this first book. Small spaces if I didn't already say the title of it. Of course, I'll have it linked below. Apparently this is part of a 4-book series. I don't think I'm going to continue on with the series. I did go on Goodreads and read basically the synopsis of each of the 4 books, and it seems like it just follows kind of the group of friends that develops in here getting into other mysteries and hijinks. So if you are a series reader, there is that to compel you. I'm just not, and I want to get to the other middle grades that I have planned the rest of the week. So with that, my plan is to now start Ghost Squad by Clarabelle A. Ortega. I think this one is also going to be quite fantasy. I believe there are like actual ghosts involved. And yeah, this is the one about the 2 friends who accidentally awaken spirits and have to work with their witch grandma. So witches, ghosts, not sure how I'm gonna vibe with all that. It's pretty out there. I will go in with an open mind. This one is on Hoopla, and I actually listened to the first like 20 minutes as I was bringing my kids to daycare this morning. And it feels kind of silly to listen to a middle grade novel that's so short and fast on audio, but the narrator is quite animated in their voicing of the story and the characters. So I do think it will actually help my experience reading this book. It might feel a little bit more like a movie, and I do like watching children's movies with my kids that are often not fully realistic. So I do think that is going to be a good way of consuming this story. So I will probably check in once I finish this book. I'm sure I will fly through it. I am hoping to join reading sprints tonight on, I can't remember if it's Kendall or Liz's channel, but they are doing reading sprints together. So I will be joining that and probably listening to this book and hopefully starting on my kids' Halloween costumes. That is still on my to-do list. I washed the clothes that I need to wash for that. So now I will start putting the costumes together, but that will be later tonight. So I'll check in when I have an update on the book, when I have an update on my life. But so far, off to a strong start for Boookathon. Okay, hello my friends. It is the next day. It is Thursday afternoon. I'm about to pick up my kids, but I do have an update. I finished Ghost Squad. I listened to most of this last night on reading sprints with Kendall and Liv. It was super fun, spooky ambiance, so it was the perfect setting. I also worked on my kids' Halloween costumes, while specifically my son's little lamb costume is coming together so nicely. I love it. So it was just a really good night getting to work on that, listen to this book. I finished the book this morning, and I don't really know how to feel about it because I didn't really love it, but I can't tell if it's a me problem and a preference problem or like the book wasn't that good. I have been seeing generally lower ratings for this book, like 2 and 3 stars. So I know other people aren't loving it either, but I'm not sure exactly what they aren't loving about it and if it's the same things that I didn't like about it. But I just felt like this was super juvenile, and I know it's a middle grade novel, but it just felt very like cheesy, scary situation, kind of more like Scooby-Doo, where you know that they're not in any actual danger, and like the villain is very, I don't know, over the top, and like the kids get very convenient clues or directions about what's going on. I also personally just am not a fan of like supernatural elements, so the ghost parts did nothing for me. The trio here that's fighting the evil gets themselves like Ghost Squad jackets, and we're all like, we're the Ghost Squad, we're gonna fight the evil. It was just all very cheesy to me, and so I didn't love it. I'm not sure though if that's like the standard for middle grade. My opinion is probably not, because of the fact that people like Keisha and other people who love middle grade are so adamant about middle grade and saying that it can span wider audiences and can appeal to everybody. I don't think that this is that type of book. So I think I'm gonna give it 2 stars, and probably in the future I won't be seeking out middle grade novels that I know have ghosts in it or other supernatural elements. So now tonight I'm going to get started on my 3rd and final book for this vlog. I'm gonna start The Halloween Moon, and let's refresh on what this one is about. Oh yeah, this is about the girl who wants to go trick-or-treating. Her parents are telling her she's too old, but she still goes, and creepy things start happening. And the very last sentence of the synopsis says, even Esther doesn't want to be trapped in this night forever. So that excites me, it intrigues me. I've seen good reviews about this book so far from other people who are reading it for the readathon. So that is the plan tonight. I'm gonna start this book, but first I'm gonna pick up my children and bring them home and get them, you know, dinner and entertainment and everything. So I will check in probably not until tomorrow, but I'll try to get some B-roll clips from tonight, and I'll let you know how my last book is going. Alright my friends, it is officially time for me to wrap up Boookathon. It is Monday the 17th. The readathon officially ended yesterday. I didn't get much filming done over the weekend, or really any for this vlog. I did read my last book over the weekend. I read The Halloween Moon by Fink. This one has the most interesting premise to me out of the 3 books that I read. This was about our main character named Esther, who loves Halloween. She's in like middle school. She loves dressing up. She loves going trick-or-treating. But this year, right before Halloween, her parents tell her she's too old to go trick-or-treating. She already had her costume made and everything. She was like, what? This is so unfair. Can't this year just be my last year going, and then next year I can be, you know, too old? So she ended up having to lie to her parents and sneak out to go trick-or-treating because she wasn't willing to give it up for this last year. And then while she is trick-or-treating, things are weird in her neighborhood. People stop answering their doors. She stops seeing people on the road. Anyone who is still awake keeps talking about how tired they are and wanting to go to bed, and it being so late even when it was like 7 or 8 p.m. So Esther doesn't know what's going on, but at the end of the day, she just wants her spooky trick-or-treating tradition. And then it goes from there. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I actually have similar thoughts about this one as I did about Small Spaces, which is that I love the premise of these books. The spooky factor was definitely there. Even as an adult, I felt a little creeped out. The direction that this book went and how it all was explained and wrapped up was a little out there for me, a little fantastical, but that is the heart of middle grade novels, at least spooky middle grade from what I'm coming to understand. So again, I'm gonna give it 4 stars because for what it is, I think it did it really well. It's not a 5-star book for me, but I can see why other people love this book so much, and I would totally recommend this to like a middle grade audience, younger kids who want something that is actually going to kind of freak them out a little bit. So overall, I would say this week was pretty successful. I had 2 4-star books and 1 2-star book. I don't know if I would call spooky middle grade a new favorite genre of mine, just because it seems to lean so heavily into the paranormal and into the kind of whimsical, fantastical realm. I do think contemporary middle grade would be even more up my alley, and I could find some very entertaining books that also deal with hard-hitting issues, but in an approachable, understandable way, because they're written for middle graders. So I do think that will be my next foray into middle grade, will be to find some hard-hitting contemporary books, because I know they're out there. I have heard of them. But still super glad to have tried spooky middle grade this week. I really enjoyed the sprints and live shows. I know they also did a movie watch, which I didn't get to join, and a book discussion, which I did join for the non-spoilery part. I didn't read the buddy read book, so I didn't want to stay for the spoilers. But overall, it seems like it was a really successful readathon. I've seen so many people in the Discord giving their books 5 stars, which is amazing, especially because I know a lot of those readers haven't tried spooky middle grade before. So hosts, you definitely did your job. Congratulations on a really well thought out and well run readathon. Keisha, I will absolutely be keeping an eye out for if you do another round in the future. I think you said maybe next spring or summer again. And if anyone has any middle grade recommendations for me, keeping in mind what I said about I prefer non-paranormal, I prefer realistic and contemporary, let me know what I should try. And if any of you are still looking for spooky middle grade to get into and you haven't read these 2, I do think they're worth your time and worth a try, because the spooky vibes are there. But other than that, I don't have anything else. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.